And welcome back to Nancy's Neighborhood. And I told you I have some more guests, and I do. And they are from a cause that's near and dear to my heart because having taught school for 20 years, I saw things, and there was really nobody for me to approach when I saw things except the Department of Human Services. And that's, anyway. And that's not saying anything bad about you folks at the Department of Human Services because my mother worked there for 30 years. But anyway, I have Chris Janesco.
Perfect.
Oh, great. And Jenny Evans from CASA. And I'm so glad they're on today because they want to talk about two opportunities that you and the community have to help with CASA. But first of all, Chris, tell them what CASA is and does.
Yeah, so CASA stands for Court-Appointed Special Advocates. And so what we do is we train community volunteers. Once they complete a 30-hour training process, they're sworn in by a judge, and at that point, they're able to advocate for a child that's generally involved in the court system due to an allegation of abuse and neglect. So we get to know that child on a personal level, learn about their needs. We might talk to their teachers or other interested parties. Once we feel like we have a good understanding of that child's best interests, we go back to the judge and we make a recommendation to that judge and that child's best interest. And the cool thing is that locally and nationally, the judge will implement the recommendation of the advocate about 90% of the time.
Oh, fantastic.
So that shows about how trusted we are by the
Right.
judges. I've heard them say multiple times that we make their job a lot easier because obviously they're not able to go into those child's homes and they're just listening to multiple parties in the court, and there's a lot to be said from getting to know somebody on a personal level and not hearing some potentially biased story.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know the judges can't, and sometimes they have to legally, without knowledge, without having an advocate there for that child, they have to make decisions that they might have otherwise made a different decision if an advocate had been there for that child. And sometimes those decisions aren't for the benefit of that child sometimes. But with an advocate and somebody that can tell the whole story and knows it personally from working with that child, then that makes a difference.
Yeah, these volunteers are getting involved just out of the goodness of their heart. They have no extra motive out there besides just really wanting to make a difference in their community for the children. And so the most inspiring part of the job for me is really hearing the stories from the advocates that they've heard these horrible stories in the news and they've stood up and chosen to take action to change what's happening in our community. And it's absolutely wild. I shared this on my Facebook page a couple days ago, but people don't even realize that there's over 1,400 allegations of abuse and neglect just in Bradley County alone.
Just in Bradley County. That just floored me.
Yeah.
I mean, it really did.
And not all of those are substantiated, but they are worth looking into.
Right.
And so we're only serving about 200 of those children. So with more funding, more advocates, we will be able to do more. And we're also, we don't want to forget about Polk County.
I started to say because you're also in Polk County.
Yeah. And we have just established a physical office there, which is something we've always served that region, but we've never had a physical office there before.
Okay.
So we are really putting a focus on serving that area with a lot more intention than we have in the past.
And that's great. Now, this comes to the part of you're only serving a small portion
Yep.
of the young people who need to be served because you need advocates.
Yes.
All right, so how do we advocate?
So our next advocate training is coming up on September 10, and that is going to be from 9 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon. So it's 6 5-hour training sessions.
Okay.
So it will go for 6 weeks, every Tuesday for 5 hours. And during those trainings, they learn about the child welfare best practices. They learn what to do when visiting a child's home and best safety practices, and how to make that unbiased recommendation to the judge. Jenny in the past has actually done that training and completed it.
Fantastic.
She's currently serving as a board member, but she does know what it's like to be an advocate also.
And one thing that you mentioned there was safety, because a lot of times people say, whoa, I don't want to go into a home. And when my mother worked for the Department of Human Services and she had to go out and do some calls, I'd say, Mother, please take somebody with you.
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't necessarily available for her to take anybody with her. So I think safety is one thing people might be concerned about.
Yeah, we just actually completed a safety training, I believe 2 weeks ago, and we gave an award for the safest person. We went through and did a checklist of all the things they're doing, and then we checked And we also, with cell phones nowadays, there's a lot of advantages
Right.
with keeping track of each other, but they're encouraged to let us know where they're going, to check in before and after, and if they ever feel like they need somebody to come with them, we are always more than willing to do that also.
And I think that's great. And to me, this would be a marvelous opportunity for a retired person who still drives
Yep.
and still 55 plus, for something for them to do.
Yeah, you do have to have a little bit of free time during the days,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people I know just have the evenings, but you will be expected to go to court every once in a while. It's not too big of a part of what you have to do, but it does happen. And it, depending on what your availability is, we can sign you, up to 8 cases during a year. Some people might just want one.
Right.
Sometimes people take breaks and they're like, I need a couple months before. It's very flexible, the hours, but if you have some availability during the days, it's a little bit safer to go to the homes during those times and
Right.
meet with a child at school. It's the best place to meet with them because the parents aren't influencing them there.
Right, and that's one thing that I was so glad to hear about CASA coming in, because so often, anytime there's a situation and you have to investigate it in front of the parents, what's the child going to say?
Yeah, and that's why it's important to, first off, is meet with that child as many times as you can before that court date.
Right.
Build that trust with them.
Absolutely.
Meet with them in places where their parents aren't having that influence. And we really want the advocates to stay involved even after the court date ends. They have the right to do that. And we don't provide any direct services for those children. We recommend services,
Okay.
but if the child wants us to come to their baseball game, we'll meet them at the baseball game.
Why not?
But I always tell them we won't drive the child there. That's a little bit out of our area.
Mm-hmm.
But if the child needs any tutoring, we'll find somebody to do the tutoring. So we want to know those needs. We'll help them find the resources to support them, but we don't provide those directly.
And I think this is great. Now, let me ask you this. Are you a 501c3?
Yes.
Okay, so that means that's a .org, folks, and we've talked about this. So that means that you need funding to do this program.
Absolutely.
And is that what Jenny's going to talk to me about?
Yeah, so we have a New Year's
Okay.
Eve event coming up, and Jenny's a board member, as I said, but she's also on our event committee, and she's been having a lot of fun doing it, I believe.
Okay, so tell us
Yes.
about it, Jenny. What are we going to do?
We're very excited to be hosting our very first fundraiser for, it'll be New Year's Eve. So December 31st, mark your calendars. It's never too early.
You're right.
And yes, we're going to have lots of things planned, music, food, dancing. We're going to have live entertainment from Plan B. They're out of Chattanooga, and it's going to be really awesome. We're very excited to have an event in Cleveland, in our hometown,
Right,
for New
absolutely,
Year's.
absolutely, and let the people here help support what you're doing.
Yes.
Now, where are you going to have this event?
At the museum.
At the museum.
Yes,
Wonderful.
ma'am.
See, I'm making all these notes, folks.
Yes.
So I can remind you all as we go along. And I've already told Chris that I want them to come back on and talk to us closer to that date, because
Yep.
y'all are looking at me thinking, New Year's Eve, good grief.
We're
I'm-
midway through August.
Well-
It's going to be here.
Tell me about it. My Cherries Jubilee Committee's meeting next month to plan for April.
Yes.
So, I mean, you can never plan too early for these events. So, is there going to be food involved? And
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Tasteful gatherings.
Oh, love them.
Yes, we love to eat at tasteful gatherings, and she will be making wonderful food for us.
Yes, she
We're
will.
having heavy hors d'oeuvres.
Okay.
Yes, and drinks, dancing.
All right. Do we
Fun
drinks
stuff.
and dancing?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a cost for this yet?
We do. Right now, tickets are on sale for $70 for individual tickets, and I believe that's going to go up in
At
September.
the end of this month, yeah. So
Oh,
right now,
okay.
$70. You can get them for $75 after that point.
Okay.
So I would rush and get them if you know you're going to be in town. It's going to be a fun event. We're really trying to stay away from the traditional fundraiser type of formats and just have fun. But we're also going to be making New Year's resolutions to celebrate and to make decisions in the best interest of children. And 2020, I guess it will be, yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
So,
yeah.
So
Whoa.
it's all about making New Year's resolutions to benefit the children in Bradley and Polk counties.
Okay, it's $70 an individual. Now, let me ask you this. There are those of us who would just kind of like to sit at home and watch the ball drop.
Yeah.
So can I go ahead and buy a ticket and say, here's my ticket, but I won't be there?
Yeah. Well,
or sponsorships or anything like that?
Sponsorships are definitely
Okay,
available. I have
okay.
a sponsorship packet
Oh,
to give you
okay.
afterwards
Oh,
if you want to
great.
share it with somebody.
I'll be glad to.
But the other thing is, people that don't want to attend, please buy tickets for our volunteers to attend. We don't want to make
Oh,
them pay. They do
good.
so much for us
Okay,
already.
that's a great idea.
So you can pledge your ticket on behalf of one of our volunteers.
That is great.
Yeah. And you can buy a table if you want to be an event sponsor, or as I said, you can buy that for a group of advocates. And we have a variety of marketing and sponsorships at casabp.org/NYE. So that's CASA BP. BP stands for Bradley and Polk.
BC.
.org.
BP.
Slash,
Bradley.
yeah.
Dot org.
NYE, New Year's Eve. Yeah.
New Year's Eve.
And if
Yeah.
you just go to our website, there's a link that will take
Okay,
you
that's
with
good.
all the information there. We have a timeline of all the events that will take place, but we're very excited for this to not be your typical fundraiser.
And I think that sounds great. So it's CASABP,
Yep.
BradleyPolk.org. Now, folks, we've talked about those .orgs, so you know that. And so that's the website, and they can go there and just check you out because there's probably plenty of information there.
There's so much information. We got a clip from the band that's going to be there, the Plan B band.
Okay.
They're from the local area, but they're incredible. Our sponsorships are already coming in. We got Jake Duas at State Farm, Boundless Moving, and the Simpkins Group. We're definitely looking for some more to come on board before that, but we got, just let us know if you're interested.
I think that sounds great, and you're going to leave me a packet so I can just keep promoting it, and in September the individual ticket sales will go up to $75.
That's correct.
And that's for dinner
For New
and
Year's Eve,
yeah, and or for heavy hors d'oeuvres, which to me is dinner, because I don't like to cook, and so and a band, and I think that sounds wonderful. And
We're
at the
putting a lot
museum.
of time and attention in making sure this is a quality event for the community, and I think it's something that people are really going to enjoy and not feel like they're stuck at their table. We want them interacting, talking.
Good.
We're figuring out how we're going to do the New Year's Eve countdown. We're talking about maybe a balloon drop or confetti drop. Yeah, but it's going to be fun, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
and what is the dress for that night? Are we going to be? We just dress up. It's not like tux and.
It's not tux, it's
Okay.
cocktail, so you can go a little
Okay.
bit more casual,
Okay.
but I know a lot of people want to wear their gold and glittery outfits. So
Wear it. Wear it.
Good.
have a lot of fun.
Good. My sweatpants and sweatshirt would not be welcome, would they? But that's about what I do when I get home in the afternoon. But I'm so excited for y'all because I think this is great. And hopefully you'll have some advocates now. If anyone wants to sign up, wants to say, I'm interested in learning about being an advocate, how do they get in touch with you?
So they go back to casabp.org
Okay.
And select the volunteer tab. They can fill out a form, and we're going to get a hold of them and share a little bit more about what the position entails.
Right.
And then they can decide if they want to move forward with an interview. We encourage people to do that, even though the training is not for another month. We encourage people to do that process now because we do those background checks. We want to make sure we got the best and most upstanding individuals being involved.
Right.
It's an intensive interview process, and we do lose some people in that process. So we do look for the best in our community to make sure they're working with our kids.
And I think that sounds awesome because I have some friends that are sitting at home right now bored to death. They're retired, but they're young, healthy retirees, and they're looking for something to do.
Yeah.
And this would be great. And some of them are empty nesters. Their kids are off at college or have already finished college and they have a job, and so this would be something for them to do.
And as I've said before, if you're frustrated of hearing sad stories in the news, there's really is something you can actually do besides, sharing something on Facebook. You
Right.
can actually take actual action and really impact and change a child's future.
Absolutely. And what was the number you said that was in Bradley County? Y'all are only able to do about 200. but
200.
Yeah.
How many do we have
was
in
the-
Bradley? Have we had in Bradley County? 1,400?
Yes. So there's 1,400 allegations,
Okay.
And we're serving a very small portion of that
Yes.
right now. But there's a lot more we could be doing.
Absolutely. So anybody that's listening out there, that your Sunday school class or your women's sorority or your group that meets for breakfast every morning at Hardee's, I know you people, they could use you. So
Yes.
that would be great for them to do. So CASA, CASABP.org. Go on there and find out everything. Chris and Jenny, thank you so much
Thank you
for
so
being
much
on
for
with me
having us,
today.
Nancy.
Don't leave. I want to share something with you. So folks, Don't go away. Watch our commercials, support our sponsors because they pay our bills. And I'll be right back with some upcoming events that are going to happen before New Year's Eve. But that's okay because we want to get New Year's Eve in there too. So don't go away. I'll be right back.